Imagine a world where some of the most feared predators on Earth once had legs, walked upright, and hunted their prey through ancient forests. This isn't science fiction. This is the incredible true story of how snakes evolved from four-legged lizards into the sleek, deadly hunters we know today. Over 3,000 species of snakes slither across our planet right now, from tiny thread snakes no thicker than a pencil to massive anacondas that can swallow a deer whole. They've mastered nearly every environment on Earth, gliding through trees, burrowing underground, and even swimming through oceans. But these remarkable reptiles weren't always the legless wonders we see today. The evolution of snakes is one of the most dramatic transformations in the animal kingdom, spanning over 150 million years of incredible adaptations, shocking discoveries, and evolutionary plot twists that would make any Hollywood blockbuster seem tame by comparison. We're talking about creatures that literally rewired their entire body plan, developed some of the most sophisticated hunting mechanisms in nature, and survived multiple mass extinction events that wiped out the dinosaurs. But here's what's absolutely mind-blowing about this story. Recent fossil discoveries have completely rewritten everything we thought we knew about snake evolution. Scientists have uncovered four-legged snakes with fully functional limbs, ancient sea serpents longer than school buses, and prehistoric constrictors that could crush a small car. These aren't just random evolutionary experiments. They're pieces of an incredible puzzle that reveals how snakes became some of the most successful predators in Earth's history. What I'm about to show you will change how you think about these animals forever. We're going to journey back through deep time, witness the moment when the first snake ancestor made the radical decision to abandon its legs, and discover how that single evolutionary gamble led to one of nature's most extraordinary success stories. The story begins in the steamy, humid world of the mid-Jurassic period, roughly 170 million years ago. Picture ancient supercontinents covered in lush forests, dominated by towering ferns and primitive conifers. Massive dinosaurs thundered across the landscape, but in the shadows of these giants, a much smaller drama was unfolding that would reshape the future of predation on Earth. Deep in the undergrowth lived small, lizard-like reptiles that looked nothing like the snakes we know today. These early ancestors had four perfectly functional legs, external ears, and movable eyelids. They scurried through leaf litter, hunting insects and small vertebrates, completely unaware that their descendants would one day become some of the most specialized hunters on the planet. But something extraordinary was happening to these ancient lizards. Environmental pressures were pushing them toward a lifestyle that would eventually make their legs more of a hindrance than a help. Some species began spending more and more time in tight spaces, burrowing through soil or squeezing between rocks and fallen logs. In these cramped environments, a long, flexible body was far more useful than bulky limbs. This is where the story gets fascinating. Evolution doesn't work like an engineer designing a machine from scratch. It's more like a tinkerer, constantly modifying existing parts to serve new purposes. As these proto-snakes adapted to their underground lifestyle, their bodies began to stretch and elongate. Their ribs multiplied, giving them the incredible flexibility we see in modern snakes. Their skulls became more streamlined, perfect for pushing through narrow tunnels. But the most dramatic change was what happened to their limbs. Over millions of years, these legs slowly shrank and eventually disappeared entirely. This wasn't a sudden transformation. Fossil evidence shows us intermediate stages where ancient snakes still had tiny, vestigial legs that served no real purpose. Some modern snakes, like boas and pythons, still carry the genetic blueprints for legs in their DNA, occasionally producing individuals with small leg-like appendages. The first true snakes emerged during the Cretaceous period, roughly 100 million years ago. These early serpents were still quite different from their modern descendants. They retained many primitive features, including some remnants of their hip bones and even tiny external limbs in some species. But they had already developed the fundamental snake body plan that would prove so incredibly successful. One of the most important early snakes was a creature called Najash, discovered in Argentina. This remarkable fossil, dating back about 95 million years, still had functional hind legs, but possessed the elongated body and flexible skull of a true snake. Najash represents a crucial evolutionary stepping stone, showing us exactly how the transition from lizard to snake occurred. But here's where the plot thickens dramatically. For decades, scientists debated whether snakes evolved from land-dwelling lizards or from marine reptiles that had returned to the sea. The evidence seemed to point in both directions, creating one of the most heated controversies in paleontology. The marine origin theory gained serious traction with the discovery of massive ancient sea snakes like Pachyrhachis and Haseophis. These creatures lived in the warm, shallow seas that covered much of the Middle East during the Cretaceous period. They had elongated bodies perfectly adapted for swimming, powerful tails for propulsion, and small but still functional limbs. Some of these ancient sea serpents reached lengths of over 30 feet, making them apex predators in their marine ecosystems. The discovery of these marine snakes suggested that perhaps the snake body plan evolved not in underground burrows, but in the open ocean. After all, swimming through water requires many of the same adaptations as moving through soil. A streamlined body, powerful undulating muscles, and reduced limbs would be advantageous in both environments. This marine theory was supported by some compelling anatomical evidence. The inner ears of these ancient sea snakes showed adaptations for underwater hearing, and their vertebrae had features similar to other marine reptiles of the time. For a while, it seemed like the mystery of snake origins might be solved. But then came a series of fossil discoveries that turned everything upside down once again. In 2015, paleontologists working in Brazil announced the discovery of Tetrapodophys, a four-legged snake that lived on land, not in the sea. This tiny creature, only about 8 inches long, had all the hallmarks of a true snake, but retained 4 fully functional limbs, each ending in 5 delicate fingers and toes. Tetrapodophys was a game-changer because it provided the missing link between lizards and snakes, and it lived in terrestrial environments, not marine ones. This discovery suggested that snakes did indeed evolve from land-dwelling ancestors, and that the marine forms like Pachyrhachis and Haseophis were actually secondary adaptations, snakes that had returned to the sea after their ancestors had already evolved the basic serpentine body plan. But the story doesn't end there. Recent genetic studies have added yet another layer of complexity to snake evolution. By analyzing the DNA of modern snakes and their closest lizard relatives, scientists have discovered that the loss of limbs in snakes involved the modification of specific genes that control body plan development. The most important of these genes are called Hox genes, which act like a blueprint telling cells where to form different body parts. In most vertebrates, different Hox genes are responsible for forming the neck, torso, and tail regions. But in snakes, the Hox genes that normally create distinct body regions have been modified to create one continuous, elongated torso. This is why snakes can have hundreds of ribs and vertebrae, far more than any other vertebrate. What's truly remarkable is that this genetic modification happened relatively quickly in evolutionary terms. While the physical changes we see in snake fossils occurred over millions of years, the underlying genetic changes that made those transformations possible may have happened much faster, possibly within just a few thousand generations. This rapid genetic evolution explains how snakes were able to diversify so quickly once they had evolved their basic body plan. Within just 50 million years of the first true snakes appearing in the fossil record, they had already spread across the globe and adapted to an incredible variety of ecological niches. The success of this new body plan was nothing short of revolutionary. By abandoning their legs, snakes had unlocked a completely new way of moving through the world that gave them access to prey and habitats that other predators simply couldn't reach. The secret to understanding snake success lies in their revolutionary approach to movement. While other predators were limited by the constraints of legs, snakes developed something far more sophisticated. They mastered the art of locomotion through pure muscle coordination, turning their entire body into a single flowing wave of power. This wasn't just about losing legs. This was about completely reimagining what it meant to be a predator. Snakes developed 4 distinct methods of movement that would make them virtually unstoppable in their chosen environments. The most famous is lateral undulation, where snakes create S-shaped curves that push against irregularities in the surface, propelling them forward with surprising speed and efficiency. But that's just the beginning. Snakes also perfected rectilinear locomotion, moving in a straight line by coordinating the movement of their belly scales with their internal muscles. This technique allows them to move silently through grass or over smooth surfaces where lateral undulation would be impossible. Then there's sidewinding, an almost alien form of movement where snakes literally throw loops of their body forward in a continuous flowing motion, perfect for navigating loose sand or steep slopes. The 4th method, concertina locomotion, might be the most impressive of all. Snakes anchor one section of their body while extending another section forward, then pull the anchored section up to meet it. This allows them to climb vertical surfaces, move through narrow tubes, or navigate complex 3-dimensional environments that would challenge any legged animal. These movement innovations opened up ecological opportunities that had never existed before. Snakes could now access prey in the tiniest crevices, hunt in complete darkness underground, and pursue victims through environments where traditional predators couldn't follow. But movement was just the first part of their evolutionary revolution. The real breakthrough came with the development of their sensory systems. As snakes adapted to life without limbs, they needed new ways to detect and locate prey. Evolution responded by turning them into living sensor arrays, equipped with detection systems that seem almost supernatural. Their forked tongues became chemical analysis laboratories. By flicking their tongues in and out, snakes collect airborne molecules and transfer them to a specialized organ called the Jacobson's organ, located in the roof of their mouth. This system is so sensitive that snakes can follow chemical trails that are days old, detect prey from incredible distances, and even determine which direction a scent trail is heading. But some snakes took sensory evolution even further. Pit vipers, pythons, and boas developed heat-sensing organs that can detect temperature differences as small as a few thousandths of a degree. These thermal sensors allow them to hunt warm-blooded prey in complete darkness, essentially giving them a form of biological thermal imaging that surpasses anything humans have created. The precision of these heat sensors is almost beyond belief. A python can detect a mouse from over 3 feet away based solely on its body heat. The sensors are so accurate that snakes can strike with deadly precision at prey they can't even see, guided entirely by the thermal signature of their target's body. Meanwhile, other snake species were developing entirely different hunting strategies. Some became masters of camouflage, evolving colors and patterns that made them virtually invisible in their environments. Others developed incredible speed, becoming pursuit predators that could run down prey across open ground. But perhaps the most dramatic innovation was the evolution of venom systems. This wasn't just about developing toxic compounds. This was about creating sophisticated biological weapons delivery systems that could incapacitate prey almost instantly. The earliest venomous snakes appeared roughly 60 million years ago, and their success was immediate and dramatic. Venom represented a complete game-changer in predator-prey relationships. Instead of relying on constriction or sheer physical power, venomous snakes could deliver precise doses of toxins that would either kill their prey outright or paralyze it completely. The diversity of venom systems that evolved is staggering. Some snake venoms attack the nervous system, causing immediate paralysis. Others destroy blood cells or prevent blood clotting, causing massive internal bleeding. Still others break down tissue at the cellular level, essentially digesting prey from the inside out. What makes snake venoms truly remarkable is their specificity. Different snake species have evolved venoms perfectly tailored to their preferred prey. A snake that hunts birds will have venom components that are particularly effective against avian physiology, while a snake that specializes in hunting mammals will have entirely different toxin profiles. The delivery systems for these venoms are equally sophisticated. Venomous snakes developed hollow or grooved fangs that function like hypodermic needles, injecting precise doses of toxin deep into their prey's tissue. Some species can even control the amount of venom they inject, conserving their precious biological weapons for when they're most needed. The evolution of venom created an evolutionary arms race that continues to this day. As snakes developed more potent toxins, their prey species evolved resistance mechanisms. This constant pressure pushed both predators and prey to new levels of sophistication, driving rapid evolutionary innovation on both sides. By the end of the Cretaceous period, snakes had already established themselves as dominant predators in ecosystems around the world. They had developed the basic body plans and hunting strategies that would carry them through the next 65 million years of evolutionary history. But their greatest challenges and most dramatic adaptations were still to come. The mass extinction event that ended the age of dinosaurs created both opportunities and obstacles for snake evolution. While many reptile groups disappeared forever, snakes not only survived, but thrived in the chaotic aftermath of this global catastrophe. The aftermath of the asteroid impact that ended the dinosaur age wasn't just survival for snakes. It was their moment to inherit the Earth. As the dust settled and ecosystems rebuilt themselves from the ground up, snakes found themselves in a world suddenly full of vacant ecological niches just waiting to be filled. The disappearance of so many large reptilian predators left gaps in food webs that snakes were perfectly positioned to exploit. Their flexible body plans, efficient metabolisms, and diverse hunting strategies made them ideal candidates to colonize the recovering planet. Within just a few million years of the extinction event, snake diversity exploded in ways that would have been impossible while dinosaurs dominated the landscape. This is where snake evolution shifted into overdrive. The Paleocene and Eocene epochs, spanning from about 65 to 34 million years ago, witnessed the emergence of snake lineages that would push the boundaries of what these limbless predators could achieve. Some species grew to absolutely monstrous proportions, becoming apex predators capable of taking down prey that would have been unimaginable for their ancestors. The most famous of these prehistoric giants was Titanoboa, a colossal constrictor that lived in the steamy rainforests of what is now Colombia around 58 million years ago. This snake was so massive that it defies belief. Measuring over 42 feet in length and weighing more than a ton, Titanoboa was larger than any snake that has ever lived, before or since. Its body was so thick that it could easily swallow a crocodile whole, and its crushing power was sufficient to snap the spine of virtually any animal that lived alongside it. But Titanoboa wasn't just big for the sake of being big. Its enormous size was perfectly adapted to its environment and prey base. The world of the early Paleocene was much warmer than today, with global temperatures averaging nearly 90 degrees Fahrenheit. These hot, humid conditions were ideal for cold-blooded reptiles, allowing them to maintain the high metabolisms necessary to support such massive body sizes. The discovery of Titanoboa fossils revolutionized our understanding of snake evolution because it demonstrated just how far these animals could push their basic body plan. Here was a snake that had taken the fundamental serpentine design and scaled it up to absolutely gigantic proportions, creating one of the most formidable predators in Earth's history. But size wasn't the only direction snake evolution was exploring. Other lineages were developing increasingly sophisticated hunting techniques and specialized adaptations. Some species evolved to become perfect ambush predators, developing camouflage so effective that they became virtually invisible until they struck. Others became pursuit specialists, evolving the ability to chase down fast-moving prey across open terrain. The diversification of snake species during this period was breathtaking. Different groups adapted to virtually every available habitat on Earth. Some became specialized tree dwellers, developing prehensile tails and enhanced gripping ability that allowed them to navigate complex three-dimensional forest canopies. Others moved into aquatic environments, evolving paddle-like tails and specialized respiratory systems that allowed them to hunt fish and other aquatic prey. Desert specialists emerged with incredible adaptations for surviving in harsh, arid environments. These snakes developed the ability to bury themselves completely in sand, emerging only to ambush unsuspecting prey. Their heat tolerance and water conservation abilities allowed them to thrive in environments that would be lethal to most other vertebrates. Perhaps most remarkably, some snake lineages even experimented with returning to more active, pursuit-based hunting styles. These species developed enhanced visual systems, improved coordination, and the ability to move at surprising speeds across various terrain types. They represent fascinating examples of evolutionary convergence, where limbless predators independently evolved many of the same hunting strategies used by their legged competitors. The success of snakes during this post-extinction recovery period established them as permanent fixtures in ecosystems worldwide. By the time the climate began cooling in the late Eocene, snakes had already secured their place as one of the most successful and diverse groups of predators on the planet. As we look at modern snakes today, we're witnessing the culmination of one of evolution's most remarkable success stories. From their humble beginnings as small, legged lizards in Jurassic forests, to their current status as masters of virtually every terrestrial and aquatic habitat on Earth, snakes represent a triumph of evolutionary innovation and adaptability. The story of snake evolution teaches us something profound about the nature of evolutionary success. It wasn't brute strength or size that made snakes so successful, though they certainly achieved both when necessary. Instead, it was their incredible flexibility, both literal and evolutionary. By abandoning the constraints of the traditional vertebrate body plan, snakes unlocked possibilities that no other group of predators has ever achieved. Today, as we continue to discover new snake species and uncover more fossils that fill in the gaps in their evolutionary history, we're reminded that the story of these remarkable animals is far from over. Modern snakes continue to evolve and adapt to changing environments, developing new hunting strategies, resistance to human-introduced threats, and ways to coexist with our rapidly changing world. The incredible journey from four-legged forest dweller to limbless apex predator represents one of evolution's boldest experiments, and its resounding success proves that sometimes the most radical changes lead to the greatest triumphs. Snakes didn't just survive the loss of their limbs. They used that loss to become something entirely new, something that had never existed before in the history of life on Earth. And that transformation continues today, as these remarkable predators write the next chapter in their extraordinary evolutionary story.